Hello everyone, Kristina Werner here. Welcome to another video for SimonsStamp.com. Today I'm going to be using this really fun stencil set. It's called the Layered FOLKSY Heart Stencil Set. And I'm going to use the coordinating dies that go with that other stamp set, but I'm not using the stamps at all today. When I was designing these products, the stamp set specifically for the latest card kit, I also designed a stencil set, and it was released, but it was not part of the card kit. Same thing happened with the dies. It wasn't in the card kit, but it was designed at the same time. So all three of these products work together. Today I'm just using the layered stencil, and I wanted to show you how easy it is to get a really awesome finished result with just some inks and blending brushes. I'm using Fog, Seafoam, Ocean, and Royal inks. There are 4 layers to the stencil, so you're going to need 4 different colors. Now, I would recommend using a very, very light color for the heart, the main heart. And this heart is actually the same exact size as the nested rounded heart dies, the largest die. And you'll see me use that set when I get to putting the card together. But all of these work really, really well with each other. So after I have that initial layer of fog, I'm going to grab the first layer. You can kind of tell it's the first one to go on because you've got the bodies of the birds. And you'll notice on the stencil, there's a little etched line that will help you line it up right over top of that heart shape. After I had it in place, I taped it so it wouldn't shift or move around while I add the next ink color. So the ink I'm using now is called SEAFOAM, and I'm going to be using a smaller blending brush for it, and I'm just going to go over all of these areas. Now, all of the inks from Simons Stamp that I'm using today, they do dry back a little bit. So as they dry, they will lighten just a little bit. So I'm going to get a really soft effect when I'm done with all of my inking. Moving on and getting all of those sections. And then I'm going to remove the stencil. And right now it doesn't look like much. It's definitely got some missing pieces. But after this next layer, it's going to start taking shape. Now this layer on the stencil set does still have that etched heart line to help you line it up. But I found it even easier just to kind of eyeball it and get the center of the flowers at the top, get those directly in the center of the previously inked flowers. And also the leaves, the 2 leaves at the very bottom point of the heart. If you line up those 3 places, you'll have perfect placement. So I'm using the color Ocean, and then as I peel this up, you can see it is starting to take shape, and I think it just looks so, so neat. So now I'm coming in with the very last layer, and I'm using the color Royal with a very, very tiny brush. Now, I really recommend using a very small brush for this last layer because all those little tiny openings really need the smaller bristles and a little bit more control as you add the ink. I think you're going to get a better application if you use a smaller blending brush, but you could definitely use a larger one as well. So there is the finished result. I think it just looks so amazing. Now, when I was designing this stencil set, it was like a mechanical engineer moment. I was an art major. I was not prepared for this, but I am so happy with how it turned out. I think it looks really great. Now, when it comes to the coordinating dies that go with the Happy Hello stamp set, I wanted to include a shape that would cut out this heart. However, I didn't want it to be a plain heart because that would just be a repeat of the nested hearts dies. So I added a really fun little scallop edge around the outside, and I think it just looks so dainty and really, really pretty. I just love that detailed edge. So even if you don't plan to use all the other coordinating dies, I like this die set just for this single die. So I love how that turned out. Now, as we move along here, you're going to see that those ink colors start to dry back a little bit. So here's the nested round hearts die set that I mentioned, and I'm going to take the largest heart. You can see that it fits perfectly over that stenciled heart. I'm going to create a folded card base for this. I thought this, scalloped heart image was really, really pretty, and it would make a great card to go on top of a wedding gift. So I'm going to turn it into a folding card. So I positioned that die over a folded piece of cardstock so that the fold would remain. So I didn't have the die cut the full heart. I had the heart die kind of hanging over the edge of the fold. Cleaned up some of that because I did use thick cardstock. And then I'm going to adhere the folded card base to the back of my stencil panel. I just used some Tombow Extreme adhesive for that, and then glued this down directly to the back of my scalloped heart. And this is going to give me a really cool folded heart card without sacrificing any of that really fun detail on the scalloped heart. You can see how it opens up like that. It's the perfect size to go on top of a gift. Now, I thought it would be really fun to make it into like a wedding card. So I'm going to use some sentiment strips. These are the reverse wedding sentiment strips. And I also chose this sentiment strip set because I didn't want to cover up the design too much. I love those birds. And so this really tiny sentiment here at the bottom that says, "On this happy day," I thought it would be perfect to go right in the center between those birds. And then it was covering too much of the wings. So I decided to cut the greeting in half so that I could have 2 lines of text and it would be positioned just perfectly. So I cut up some foam tape so that it was the perfect size to go behind the greeting. And then I used a black brush tip marker to paint the edges of these sentiment strips. And that just makes them look like they were, white ink printed on black cardstock. It just finishes it off really, really well. Use my tweezers to get those positioned just right, and then press them down onto my finished card. So that's the card for today. I think it turned out so well, and it was so easy to do with those layered stencils. You can mix up the colors. I did more monochromatic colors today, but I think this would look really pretty with pinks and teals and aquas, or even a pale purple would be really, really pretty with this particular design. Thanks so much for watching today. Make sure you check out all the supplies that are listed down below in the video description. The inks, the dies, the stencil sets, even the sentiment strips are listed down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in another video very soon.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.